Hey, there we go. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Strifium, and welcome to the Misfits Racing League Endurance Series. We are here, of course, for the 6th round, and it is a very, very intense circuit. It is the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We're here around Baku, and joining me for all of the action, well, Unicorn, how you doing?
Yeah, Striff, I'm doing well, thank you. Looking forward to this one. It's been a couple of weeks since the Endurance Series. It's been a couple of weeks since that very dramatic and, dare I say it, unique race around Monaco. Fingers crossed that Baku here is a little bit different. Obviously, it's a bit of a combination of Monaco and Monza, as it was described earlier. But it's a very interesting track, and a 100% race around here is only going to yield a interesting race.
Definitely, definitely. Well, we are here for a very, very fun campaign. It's such a circuit. This is actually one of my favorite circuits. 20 turns, 6 kilometers, a lot of 90-degree turns in that first sector, a very intricate sector 2 through that castle section, and then we round it out with that third sector, very long, somewhat winding straight section of circuit. And well, we're here for the 6th round as we follow the F1 calendar, and we are just about ready to go racing here around Baku. We have 20 drivers, or just about 20 drivers, ready to go racing here for a 18-minute qualifying 100% distance campaign. And well, I am very excited for this one.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how everything plays out. Obviously, we have got those technical sections, that castle section in particular, getting through there over the course of this race successfully every single time is going to take, real fortitude with just getting that last person back in, having to restart his PC there. But it's going to be interesting to see how the drivers adapt to this one. Obviously, you can overtake around here. It's not quite like Monaco where everyone's, penned into this very, very tight track. There are overtaking opportunities here, but you have to pick and choose your moments. But with that being said, we do have all 20 drivers in. We are ready to get things underway here. And as such, we'll get that message ready to send everyone to ready everyone up.
All right. Dialed in. I'm thoroughly excited to see how this grid shapes up in qualifying here. I want to see what the margin will be on this grid. Of course, we'll give you a good look at who's on this grid in a few moments, and you can let us know in the chat who you have as your potential favorite in the race.
All right, we got 10 seconds on the clock and thereabouts in qualifying. This is pretty critical around here to get a good lap in qualifying. It's also worth pointing out that qualifying, it's sort of a team game around Baku. Here in endurance, we don't have any permanent teams. We'll see if anyone works together, see if anyone's got some friends on the grid that they can work with. But the slipstream down that long straight, divided up by a couple of corners, but it's still flat out all the way from turn 16 pretty much to the line. We'll see how they fare here with that. But we do have 20 drivers. You'll love to see a full roster here. A lot of demand for seats in the endurance series, and we've got a full grid as always here on a Saturday evening prior to a real life F1 Grand Prix.
Well,
and obviously weather, we've got clear skies, Striff, for the rest of the evening.
Well, it's going to be a big sigh of relief for everybody having a good idea of what the forecast is now. We're 17.5 minutes remaining in the qualifying as everybody gets dialed into their setups for this very long distance race. It's 51 laps around here in the streets of Baku. And let's take a look at who's on the grid with us today. We have Melik, Tuptus, Ace. We have Larsen in the Mercedes, Akraid, Vincent Nyquist, Sindako. We have Eruption Jones, as well as Hassett, the top 10 on the timing tower presently. Looking to the rear of it, starting in 11th there, we have Alex Budd. Behind him, Vexit Siffy. We have Rutanius, Armalesson, Freeware, Dirk Chocolate, Swifty, as well as Wavy, and JA Games on this grid today. This is going to be a very, very fun race, and I imagine we're going to have a lot of wheel-to-wheel action throughout this one, barring any major incidents. The last endurance race you and I had the opportunity to take a look at presented us with a very interesting, unique dynamic, a lot of incidents, shall we say. So hopefully we don't have a repeat of that here in Baku.
Yeah, and it's something you can expect, you know, from a Monaco Grand Prix, that you do see a few incidents. We saw maybe more than a few last time out, but here in Baku, like I said, there's more overtaking opportunities. You know, when you get to the sort of point where you're 75% through this race, you would have already finished a normal league race and be halfway through another. And that distance really, you know, takes its toll on the drivers. You get tired, and that's when mistakes happen. So here in Baku, that long section of straight as well, in the endurance series, pretty helpful in, you know, a longer race. It gives you time to just sort of chill out, grab a drink if you need it. It's Monaco, it's very hands-on all the way around that lap. You don't have a moment to breathe, whereas if you're in clear air here, that final sector is really just, you know, full throttle. As long as you don't hit the wall coming out of 19, and you're all golden to just sort of sit back and relax for 10 seconds before you have to go around the lap again. Speaking about going around the lap, Swifty is about to start his first flyer of the session in the Williams.
Swifty, a driver we know, of course, from the MRL, and he's been with us for a few of these races. As we come into turn one now, he's utilizing all of that curb through one on both entry and exit. We come into turn two. This turn notorious for drivers losing their end plates on that front right. He just shaves it on the exit of turn two. He's on that straight now. He's heading down into turn three, the left-hander. Take a look at how he goes down, holding that inside, getting in through on that apex, and he's in third now. He jumps it up into fourth, back down to second gear here, coming through 5 and 6. Now through, ooh, a little bit of a drift there, on his way into turn 7 now. Huge utilization of the inside curbing through turn 7, and well, you can see that's obviously cost him the lap there, his track map going red. His teammate for the evening, Vincent Nyquist, is on a flyer behind him. Not utilizing very much battery, however.
Yeah, it's been a clean lap so far for Vincent. I mean, got through Castle very nicely. So, like you say, he hasn't utilized too much of that battery. Not quite sure why here for the Williams. He seems to be pushing now, and that would lead me to believe that he is on a flyer and intends to finish this one out. I can't see any damage either, so nothing to indicate that he's dropped this lap. Just a bit of a bizarre sort of situation here to have not burnt off the battery.
Well, the deployment utilization, like his utilization of the battery is nearly dry, but he is going to go into the pit lane. Very interesting as to what was going on there with him. There goes Tuptus, finally a lap onto the board. The racing point at 37.665 on the softs, our first time onto the board. Who's next up here? Wavy, a 38.121. Tuptus, we know him to be a very quick driver, and I am not shocked to see him near the top already here. Vexit, a 37.323, looking very competitive already in the Haas. Acraid in the Ferrari, a 37.284, and the gap is already starting to get separated at the front quite tight. Larsen comes through as well. Siffy's on the board. Eruption is on the board.
Surprised Larsen's not a little bit higher, to be honest. He got a nice little toe there from his teammate, so not bad from the Mercedes to get that sort of teamwork in. Rutanius, he hops in with a 7th place, and Karma there hops into 8th as well in the Renault. Alex Budd in the Red Bull for the evening. He crosses into 9th on the softs, 140.3. Darko, he's invalidated his first attempt at a run. Dirk Chocolate in the Red Bull, teaming up with Alex Budd this evening. See what he can do here as he flies down towards the checkered flag, and it's 7th place for him, a 138.4. So a bit of variety in the times so far. Not the closest grid we've ever seen in MRL, but we've got a few drivers yet to set times. Freeware, Swifty, JA, all on an outlap there at the bottom of the timing towers. Malek, he's just started one as well in the Ferrari. So plenty more still to come. And remember, we do have that little bit of desync as well. So there's longer left in the session than the timer at the top of the timing tower would suggest.
Being told that Ace has apparently had an issue. Apparently his throttle has broken. Very interesting. Ace, definitely one of the quickest drivers we have on the grid today. One of the tier 1 championship runners. Big games. He's on the move right now. No time from him coming through sector 1 and
invalidated this lap really early.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like he just started it and I didn't jump on with him as he did, and now we come in through sector 1 and he's invalidated.
I don't know where he picked it up, but it's a tough track to invalidate. It must have been wide turn 1. It's the only place I think he could have done it, because I hopped on with him after turn 2 and it was already an invalid lap. So it's an unusual invalidation as he lets it go a few fast runners.
Swifty is in the Williams now. He's on the move coming through into turn 2, and he was the first driver we had an opportunity to really get a look at here in this qualifying session, but we saw him have an issue coming through turn 7. He ran through the inside curbing. Now we'll come through into turn 3 and we'll see what he's able to do on his second crack.
Yeah, turn 7, that's a more likely place. I think we'll see invalidations and warnings picked up in the race as well. And again, it comes down to that concentration, that after a period of time, it just becomes more and more difficult to sustain that level of concentration. Here goes Swifty, still taking a lot of curb through there, but this time keeping at least one wheel on the track as he comes through Castle now. Very nicely done for the Williams through there to keep this lap going. Obviously, you don't want to hit the wall at all at any point around a lap, but through the Castle section, likely to spin your car as well. And one car there that's perpendicular with the wall drift can really cost everyone, as Swifty uses all of that curb, bounces across it. And a lot of times it can be easy to invalidate there too, but that is the fastest way through. It's very easy to lose time as well, taking that more risky line. And I imagine we'll see more people use it in qualifying than we will in the race, because when you're going to go as fast as possible, it's very nice. See here getting a little bit of a slipstream from the racing point ahead. Doesn't look like this was planned, but it's not at all impossible as Swifty comes across the line. It's P1, a 137.161, and really utilizing all of those curbs. It invalidated his first one, but it's really worked out for him here. Goes a 10th faster than Akrade, who was our previous best.
Well, there goes Angel. He moves into 7th, the Ferrari. The other Williams driver, Vincent, is on the move. Ace appears to be on an outlap.
And Jones now, he's going to come to the line for his first time of the session, and it's P11 for him in the Mercedes at 139.3. Sandako as well, he's flying in the Alpha Tauri, coming through into the Castle section and just about avoids the wall on the outside there. Not by much though. There's a yellow flag ahead. I think one of the racing points that are letting past a fast mover.
Vincent just went 10th quickest here. It was a 38.952 from the Williams. Just ahead of his tier 3, we'll say rival, Rutanius, as Vincent has joined that tier 3 division. He has been a driver to look out for, and Rutanius and him have had their battles. Sandako now touching through turn 19, 20.
Here he comes to the line. Ahead of him his teammate Ace. He seems to have got whatever problem with his throttle fixed as Sandako crosses a 138.4. Goes 9th fastest in the session, just there ahead of Duck Chocolate. I think that was Tuptus as well, jumping up into P2. 137.236, just half a 10th faster than Akrade's previous best. The Ferrari, he's flying and he's up as well on his time. This could well see him into provisional pole once more.
Akrade has a huge chunk of damage on the front left wing. There's some penalties coming through here, and I'm not entirely sure why. Jones has taken a 5-place grid penalty, and somebody else had just taken a penalty as well. I don't know if you're able to check the race director on your end, but that was
It's Jones. It's twice.
Jones took 2 penalties there, and I haven't got a clue why.
Collision with both Vexit and Akrade, and Vexit's got quite a substantial amount of damage on the Haas. So I don't know, and as does, Akrade there, and
Both the Ferrari and the Haas have significant damage, and Jones
is missing his entire front wing. So there's been some monumental collision at some point here in this qualifying.
Ace on the move in the AlphaTauri, who has appeared to have his pedal issue now corrected. Jones slow through sector 3. What is the time going to be from Ace, runner-up in the Tier 1 division right now? What's he gonna do? Well, it's good for 5th at the minute. It's a 37.525.
Well, he's just had to fix his pedals. Presumably, it's great that he's got that issue sorted. I can definitely be sympathetic for, hardware problems, and, well, really takes you out of it. If he's, been under his desk for the past few minutes or at the bottom of his rig trying to fix that pedal hit, it just takes you out of the mindset of the race. Rutanius, his fellow countryman, slots himself into P6 at 1:37.811. So a nice time on the McLaren driver there this evening, rather than his traditional racing point.
Taking a look at Freeware. He's just coming through turn 13.
Alex Budd as well. He's on a lap. We'll see what the Red Bull can do. He's currently the slowest lap time that we've seen, just behind JA Games. He's had a few decent races in Tier 3. We'll see whether he can produce a better result here on his second attempt. 1:40.3 his personal best to beat, and it looks like he's going to smash that here. 1:38.5, 1.8 seconds found. Puts himself just behind teammate for the evening and fellow Tier 3 driver Dirk Chocolate. Who is that? Freeware hops himself up into P5 on 1:37.3.
Very nice run from Freeware there. We saw him in the Tier 1 division earlier this week. He had a very up and then down race in that division on Thursday.
Yeah, finally, we're back to seeing, the Freeware of last season was really pushing for a huge haul of points week in, week out, but like you say, had that unfortunate incident and then downhill from there. Carmelesson, he is coming through the final sector in the Renault. We'll see what he can produce here. As he flies, he is on a 1:39.4, so definitely wanting to find a bit more time out of that car if he can. We're into the final few minutes here in the session, and that means everyone will be gearing up for their final run. Carmelesson improves massively, another 1.8 second improvement. This time, it's good enough for P7 though for the Renault.
Very nice run from him. Very nice. Larsen appears to be on an in-lap now. And I think we have Dirk Chocolate flying. Swifty is flying as well, but Dirk is quite far ahead of him. He's just come through turn 6.
JA Games has pulled it into the pits once more, and he's still yet to set a time here in that Haas. So not quite sure. Well, he has got a time, but it's out of the 1:30s, and it's down on 1:40.3. So needs to find some time there. Swifty, well, he's pulling it back into the pit lane. He's not happy with his lap.
Validation not good for Dirk here, and we've got Jones on the move now after that issue, causing him some penalties.
And really, if he's got 10 seconds of cumulative grid penalty places, so 10 places, sorry, on the grid in terms of penalties, he is going to really struggle to, get anything out of this qualifying session. Right now, he's in 18th place, but unless he can get himself into 7th or higher by the end of it, he's not going to improve from that spot. So, not great for him right now, but for Hasif, he's coming down in the Renault. We've seen one Renault have a huge improvement. Hasif, he's got no time to improve on at the moment. He's not burning ERS either, which is an odd choice, but crosses into 19th on 139.8. So, rounded the lap out, but not pushing on ERS. Not quite sure what's happened there, but interesting call from him.
Eruption flying. Vincent Nyquist did not improve as he crossed the line, however, he is pushing. We'll jump back with him in a few moments. Look on with Jones now. He'll be looking to get as far ahead as he can after he will be taking some penalties. And where does he land? He goes 10th, so looks like he'll be starting in 20th.
Yeah, no change for him, and been hard pressed to have seen any improvement. To be honest, he needed to get into that top 10, and he's just about made it, but not quite high enough for him. A lot of drivers out on track now, a lot of traffic as we approach the last few minutes of the session. Obviously desynced up at the top there in terms of the clock, but we do have a lot of drivers now flying the 2 racing points. If they were the other way around, they'd get a nice tow for each other here, but it's not the case.
Eruption moves into 8th with a solid improvement.
And Tuptus will actually get a tow off of his teammate, so it's not going to work out poorly for the racing points here, and we'll see what happens. Tuptus already situated in P2, so this tow could be the difference between pole and 2nd place, or maybe even lower, as Akrade, he's flying as well. A lot of drivers are out now on track. Rutenius, he's caught it in. Oh no, he's crashed in Castle, I think.
Oh, who's going through there? Sindako's coming in there, and someone else is here. There is 3 cars in there, and Sindako on his flyer is just cruising.
Well, that would be one of those infamous red flags that we saw plenty of times in the real life qualifying, but obviously here just throws up a yellow. And I think some of these cars, Wavy's had a problem here. The entire of Castle is blocked. There's a massive traffic jam, and there's 6 cars in here, and it is truly chaotic down there. And well, there was a lot of traffic out on track. Most of the cars now have been cleared, but at least those that have retired. But that has ended a lot of people's runs, Striff.
That has definitely ended a lot of people's runs here in this qualifying session. And, well, as it stands, yellow flags mean slow down. And I think some of those drivers there took some penalties that maybe couldn't, or maybe could have been avoided. So
yeah, apparently penalties have been handed out left, right, and center. I gotta look on it exactly how many. We've got Akrade, he's been hit with a grid penalty. Vexit's got one. Sifix has got one, as well as the 2 earlier from Jones. So now 4 drivers with grid penalty, Striff, and it's not something we're used to seeing. It's not something you want to see, but Baku, we said that Castle section could be a problem.
Definitely.
And that's what it's exactly happened here at the end of this qualifying session.
That's exactly what's happened, and I am very, very concerned for how this may play on the opening lap of this race now, because there's going to be drivers coming into this race. It's a 100% race. Not a lot of the drivers have gone through that section of circuit with this much fuel in their cars. It's going to be very interesting to see how these racers navigate it.
Absolutely. It's just an exercise in patience and just making sure that you just try and do your best to get through the entire race, because that's what we saw last time. It's Swifty on pole by less than a tenth to Tuptus behind, and it might have been a closer shootout with a few other drivers had we not seen that. But Akrane and Vexit third and fourth, they won't start there. Both of them have a 5-place grid penalty, which means that Freeware will start third alongside Ace Richie. The two tier 1 drivers line up on the second row of the grid. Then we have Karma Lesson in 7th, Eruption in 8th. Those two should be bumped up a place as well, I do believe, with the grid penalty. Sindaku in 9th, Rutanius in 10th place. He crashed out. He started all that chaos with the crash through the castle section, but as he was already retired, no grid penalty for him. We'll go through the rest of this grid in just a moment, but very, very dramatic qualifying drift. It can only lead to an exciting race, fingers crossed, for the right reasons.
Definitely looking forward to this one. We're about to jump into the formation lap ahead of it's our 6th round now for the endurance series of the Misfits. And of course, massive shout out to our great partners, Next Level Racing. You can check them out via the link in the chat, !NLR, or of course, via the panels down below on their website, nextlevelracing.com, for some amazing sim racing rigs. They have some wheel stands, light rigs, as well as some motion sims as well. And they can definitely take your racing to the next level, whether you're a beginner or an advanced racer. Now, we also have the Misfits Grand Championship coming up very, very soon, and we have a few slots left for that exclamation event, or head on over to our website, misfitsrl.com, to get yourself involved. We're going to be having some cash prizes, as well as a fantastic community giveaway for a Next Level Racing F-GT Lite. I'm very much looking forward to that. And, well, with that being said, we're just about ready to go here on formation.
Well, here we go. Formation before 51 laps of Baku, and it's going to be a long campaign here for the drivers. You can see outside the top 10, a lot of mediums. Malek in 12th has opted for the hards, along with Wavy, Siffy, and Jones on the softs there outside the top 10. But we have, again, Swifty on pole, Tuptus in P2, and then Freeware and Ace promoted to 3rd and 4th. Karma Lesson and Eruption promoted to 5th and 6th. Akrane demoted from P2 to 7th after the collision in Castle. Sindaku gets 8th after Vexit is demoted to 9th. Rutanius starts 10th. Larson in 11th. Then we have Malek Wavy ahead of the two Red Bulls, Dark Chocolate and Alex Budd. Vincent Nyquist starts 16th. Hassith starts 17th. JA Games, last of the medium runners, in 18th. Civics in 19th starts on the soft, as well as Jones, who gets relegated all the way to the back after that 10-place grid penalty in the Mercedes. But a lot of different tires there to provide some very interesting strategic calls.
I'm just shocked that we have so many drivers in this back 10 on softs. 3 drivers, 1 on the hards, everyone else on the mediums. And then everyone on that front 10 on these softs. Swifty, Tuptus, Freeware, the top 3 now after those grid penalties came down. Ace is there in 4th, and this is just going to be, if you blink, you might miss it race start. That's what I'll call it. It's an if you blink, you might miss it race start, because these guys all very quick racers here. Let us know in the chat, how many safety cars do you think we will see? This is a 51 lap campaign. Our previous endurance series, we saw our drivers go through, well, a few of our drivers go through Monaco, or finish Monaco. We'll have to see how things go today.
Yeah, absolutely. Fingers crossed we get, you say, a slightly different result to the one we got there. And, like I said, an exciting race for the right reasons is what we want. The first few drivers taking their place on the grid. So not too long now until we get those lights out and racing action can commence. Qualifying, well, it was dramatic to say the very least. And race starts are always one of the peak points in terms of action for the race here.
50 and Tuptus, that front row right now. The Williams and the Racing Point drivers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And we're going to have a little bit of desync here as the drivers get their engines revving. Unicorn, welcome to Baku. We are away racing. Look at the launch for Karma. Look at Ace up the inside already as we come into turn one. There's a little bit of lag for who's that? Freeware having some trouble right now in that Alfa Romeo. It's a good exchange, however, for the majority of this grid. Eruption looking on the inside of the Renault Carmelesson. He's under threat just the same as Larsen. Larsen has Rutanius looking up his inside as we come into turn three.
Swifty top to side by side as they come down through the third turn, and I think Swifty just about defends the place from the racing point. Oh my goodness, Sindarko Freeware close on the timing turn, not close on track, but so far so good shift for most of these drivers, it would seem. Apart from Akrade, who has dropped quite substantially over the front. He's got an end plate missing on the right-hand side. As behind him, Sifix has come together, so it keeps it out of the wall terminally, but he has lost an end plate on the left-hand side there.
Yeah, he was held up huge there, JA Games, with a bit of a snap. Sifix had to really compromise. And there we go. Ace now moving on the inside of turn 12, 13 now. Excuse me. 13 and 14. We're coming through 15, and Ace is into second position, looking to hunt down Swifty here. Freeware, well, he's in fourth. Sindarko holding well with him, and the train is fully in session here.
Yeah, and DRS, when it gets enabled, will be very, very important for these drivers. And Ace right now didn't have the best qualifying, had some issues.
There goes Vexit.
Seems that he's fixed them now.
Vexit's looking for a run on Eruption here. The Haas fronts to rears with the Racing Point. It's a drag race between the pair of them. A little bit of battery for Vexit. Swifty, Ace just in front. Ace with a big dive. We come back now to Eruption and Vexit. They're exchanging as well as Vexit is on the inside. Swifty has dropped to third. Tuftus is into lead of this race as Ace now is in second.
A lot of exchanging up at the front. And I think part of this is, in fact, to those as Carmelesson around the outside, looking for Sindarko very late on the brakes into three. And that might open him up to Vexit here into four. A little bit of tap to the rear for the Renault. A Constantina. That's cost Eruption an end plate. And it might have cost Wavy as well. The Alfa Romeo's got damage. I don't know if it's as a result of that incident, but it's not going to stop him looking through the chicane at 5 and 6. And now let's put Wavy alongside Eruption now as they go down into 7. Rutanius behind, fighting with Larsen. And Wavy around the outside of the Racing Point. Rutanius has a little look at the car that he's used to driving. And another problem for the Dutchman through Castle. Keeps it out of the wall.
That's very, very touch and go.
Not looking good through there.
That was so scary. And I have to say, very, very, very lucky for him to keep that car out of the wall there. We take a look at the front end as he comes into 15 here. No damage. So thankful, I imagine, for that car. And Larsen, well, he's right up the rear, and this train just hasn't separated very much. We're going to get a very clear indication of how this grid is shaping up with the intervals and the appropriate picture, I think, as we start lap 3 here. Ace not close enough to Tuptus at the moment. Carmelesson and Vexit very tight here. I think Vexit might have just gotten ahead of the Renault here as we come into turn 1.
There goes Malek on the inside of Dirk Chocolate down into turn 1. Can he find it? The Red Bull locks up a little bit, and a little bit of contact between the two. Neither one impacted massively by that. Vincent looking at the rear of the Ferrari, trying to find a way past in the Williams. Doesn't get the traction he needs out of turn 2 to find that move. And Ace! He's straight line. He's had to avoid the wall and got off in the runoff at turn 3. So Ace now drops massively. No damage on the AlphaTauri. Quick thinking to keep that car out of the wall. But here goes Dirk Chocolate up the inside of 4th. And for Ace Ritchie, it was a great race start. But now he's thrown it all away with that mistake.
Oh! Melek's gone into the rear of Ace. He's knocked him around. Ace is staring at the cars coming through turn 6. And that was very, very unfortunate for Ace there. Melek deep into turn 5 on the inside, getting that AlphaTauri rotated. No damage on the front end of that Ferrari.
And miraculously, Ace is still undamaged as well. Ahead of him, Hasith, JA Games. They're having a little tussle for 15th, but JA holding on to the 15th in the Haas there. He's 3 places up where he started. Jones, we saw him get hurt by those grid penalties, but he's already up to 13th place, taking some real advantage here of some of the incidents that have gone on.
Wavy Retanius. Look at this. Look at this. Just smooth. And there goes Larson through Wavy into the pit lane.
I think there might be some damage on that Alfa Romeo that he's going to get removed here. New front wing.
Jones gets Vincent into turn 1. Jones is on the softs. We saw him start this race at the back.
Sundako on Swifty looking for the inside into turn 3, and he's just about found enough room to stick that Alpha Tauri and get the move done. Very nicely done from the Italian there. Swifty not letting him go, but he's not had the best start here. He's dropped down to 4th, and I think, Striff, what we're seeing here is a lot of trapped pace with the grid penalties that we saw. A lot of drivers started out of position, and as such, there's been so much overtaken in these opening few laps.
Definitely. We're only on lap 4. And there's already been so much action. And if it hasn't already kind of settled in for you, lap 4 out of 51, we've already seen this much action. We've already got so much differential in strategy. People taking off end plates. Who took off that end plate coming through Castle? Was that Dirk Chocolate? I think it was. Let me take a look at the front end on that Red Bull. Yes, Dirk Chocolate missing his front right. Melek on the inside as we look into turn 15. Nothing doing just yet, but he is hunting down Dangerous Dickens.
Well, there's been a problem for Castle again, it would seem.
Oh.
This time, I think.
Jones, Melek, wheel to wheel as we come through Sector 3, and the safety car has been deployed. Who has hit the wall? Someone's hit the wall. Siffy.
I don't think it was Siffy.
Well,
I think
very slow through here.
There's been an incident in Castle. I think it might be Wavy and Akraid. Akraid's missing a huge portion of his front wing, and Wavy's not looking too good either here. Somehow eruption in between the pair of them is okay, but look at the pit lane. A lot of activity there. And Wavy, who's just come in, will be back in once again to get that front wing changed over. But now, there's not a red tire in sight. Everyone onto the mediums or the hards for Carmelis, and we'll see what he's going to choose with that one.
Everybody in that pit lane. Such confusion with all the double stacks as well. We'll take a look at the position changes. Look at the position changes. So scattered.
It's been a very, very dramatic race start. Jones already back up to where he was in qualifying. A 10-place grid penalty. He's already up 10 places, Striff, and the safety car means that he's sort of secured himself there. Actually, if anything, net P8. So for Jones, an incredible start to this race, despite the problems in qualifying. Melek, Larson, they're up 10 as well in first and second. They haven't pitted though. So that's their one downside. But at the same time, you know, we're only 4 laps in. They're both on medium or hards. Larson on the mediums, Melek on the hards. That means they could go for a long time still. So no, it's not really hurting them too much that they haven't come in for the safety car. That one was more for the guys who were on the soft compound tires, maybe still had a bit of damage from a few of the opening laps. Now, though, the grid's going to get bunched back up again, and that just means more action, Striff, and you like to say it. Safety cars breed safety cars, and well, fingers crossed it doesn't, but it's very, very likely here in Baku.
Oh, well, Baku is one of the races I've had the pleasure of commentating the most, and it's very true here. Very true. We still have all 20 drivers in contention now, and this has just brought everybody who may have had an issue in the beginning of this race back into this race. There's a lot of pace trapped in throughout this grid. You look at Ace, of course, in 17th position onto another fresh set of tires here. Well, he'll be looking good, considering this entire grid is essentially up for grabs for him. Accurate is there as well. We have Wavy, Alex, Bud behind Ace, and then Siffy, JA, Hassett in the rear end there, Eruption, Dirk. The safety car really came out at a good time for Dirk because Dirk had just taken off an end plate.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to... there is always someone who will benefit more than others from a safety car coming out at a certain point, and Dirk's certainly one of them there. Didn't have a huge amount of damage that cost him really any positions. It would have done, though, had this safety car not come out, and as such, it's just, perfect timing, like you were saying, and it's also saving a few of the other drivers, Ace, Sacred, Wavy, all these drivers who were so far back that the reason we always say, don't retire the pits, keep going, is because safety cars like this, they're now pulled right back into the thick of things, and we saw Ace at the start really go through. There are overtaking spots here on this track. You've just got to pick and choose your moment correctly, and we're seeing Ace do that. He's in 17th now, so he's got a lot of overtaking to do if he wants some serious points here, but he's a tier 1 driver. He's second place in that championship, Striff. He's definitely got the pace in that car. If anyone could get a podium here from 17th, Ace Ritchie, certainly one of the drivers who could definitely do it.
Couldn't agree with you more. Could not agree with you more. Or a safety car now coming in. Larson, it's up to him. Slow everything down. Pace things appropriately as that safety car draws closer into that pit lane, and he's just getting some temperature into these tires. We've seen a variety of different restarts here in Baku. The big question is, when does the Mercedes put the pedal to the metal here and hammer down on that throttle? Tuss on the rear of Melek. Melek holding extremely well, extremely tight, very close to the rear of Larson right now. Larson now straightening out that car. He could be very close and ready to go. He is hammering down. Has Melek caught him? I think he has. Freeware. We've got an exchange here. Sindako has dropped. Look at this. Wheel-to-wheel action. Nearly 3 wide. It is 3 wide. Coming into turn 1. Has anyone been caught? No, that's been clean. Jones is there as well. Rutanius. Carmelesson. There's very tight wheel-to-wheel action through all of this on the restart as we come through Sector 1. Jones is not having a good time here. Vexit on the rear of Rutanius. He's looking to the inside. Rutanius trying to squeeze him right now. At the rear, Wavy's had an issue. Wheel-to-wheel as we come through turn 3. Vexit, Rutanius to the inside through turn 4. Up ahead, more exchanging. Freeware, Swifty there, tight. Here goes Vexit. Up on the inside now as we come into turn 5. Rutanius holding on for dear life. He's got his tires there. A little bit of contact. A snap from the rear. Sindako's through. Where's Vincent? He's looking to the outside. Nothing doing. He gets back, and I think this has settled it down for now. Melek has Freeware sitting in his rearview mirrors as we come up through turns 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and now we're on the run through turn 13, 14.
Oh,
what
Jones
action.
into the wall.
Oh, he's got Ace on his outside.
It just glanced there off the outside coming out of turn 13. End plate damage for the Mercedes. Also, we're pointing out Siffy and Wavy, they came together coming out of turn 2. Wavy, he's lost his entire front wing, if memory serves. But what a restart for Vexit. Got around the outside of Sindako into turn 2, then took Rutanius after that battle ensued. Really, just taking advantage of the best moments. Freeware now, the German on the outside of the Ferrari, down the start finish straight. And we've seen this one over and over again. He's using ERS, but so is Melek, holding him off. Down into turn 1, and there's late on the brakes. Goes the Alfa Romeo ahead of him. Toptus Larson, they exchange to P1. Larson sweeping around the outside almost effortlessly as the sister teams exchange again. Melek, a big wobble out of the second corner, and he's taken off the end plate of, I believe, Carmelesson there with that shake.
Sindako has just
really lost traction there.
Sindako just took Vexit and Melek. There goes Vexit with a huge lunge up the inside of Melek, and Melek just has nothing in these tires right now. We have a yellow flag. What's happened there?
Carmelis is just letting everyone by.
Wheel to wheel for Vexit and Rutanius as we come through turn 6. Oh my, Melek's there. He's back on the inside. He's not done in this fight. He's through on the Haas. Rutanius in 6th position right now. has all of this action happening in his rearview mirrors is Hasseth and Dirk Chocolate. They're coming wheel to wheel into the castle section. Dirk Chocolate's ahead. Hasseth's been hit in the rear by Akraid. He's reversing now. Where's Jones? Nowhere near this right now, and that is very fortunate for Hasseth as he plants it into reverse and gets things backed up.
There again, we're seeing it. A lot of close battling after the safety car restarts. Things spreading themselves out a little bit quicker than the start of the race. Ace, Eruption, they're side by side. This man, Ace, he started this restart in 17th, Joe. He's already back up into the points. P10 right now for the AlphaTauri. And you don't get the intention he's stopping soon. Tuptus is through on Larson for leader. Things Sindarko, Swifty, they exchange. Vincent, Vexit, they're exchanging too. DRS now enabled once more.
Look at Ace!
Look at the speed.
Oh, I didn't even see him
Straight
coming.
through the middle.
Vexit's going into the pit lane. We'll see what happened there for the Haas driver. He's jumping off of the mediums.
He's got damage, I think, on that Haas. But Ace, Richie, he's stealing the show strip. He is really putting on quite the display here. He is carving through this field, just one after the other, or in that case, two at once. And the AlphaTauri, he's made nearly 10 places in, what, 1 lap? 2 laps?
Lars and Tuptus having their battle right here at the front with Freeware not too far behind. Meanwhile, Ace having to move mountains to make his way back to the front end battle of this grid, and he's doing just that. Eruption in 10th position. He's within half a second of Vincent. We have Dirk Chocolate there, 1.1 on the rear of him, and there's just a long train forming on the rear of Melik. And we already saw what happens when Melik has an issue or he gets put under pressure. Dirk Chocolate, what's happened now? Eruption. Has he had an issue? Certainly he has. His front left end plate is missing. And he has lost 2 positions, one to Dirk and one to Akraid as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. The yellow flag seems to pop up after the castle section, so a little bit unusual. And speaking of yellow flags in the castle section, who is that? It's Jones. And he is having another problem. Does he have any front wing left? He does not. And I don't think that's the first time we've said that this evening. As Lars and Tuptus once more exchange, and Freeware's got a lot of overspeed into the first corner, but he's not going to get quite close enough. Akraid, Dirk, they exchange, as well as the other Ferrari. He exchanges. It's Ace Richie getting yet another position. As yellow flags, Jones is out. He's crashed. He's crashed into turn 15. And if anyone was practicing practice earlier, that's something we're not too uncommon from seeing. But for the Mercedes, it is the end of the road, and he is out
Melik
of this
has
race.
crashed.
Well, has he done this? He's on the inside after turn 2, but quite a way down the road, and he's facing the wrong way.
He's got it rotated now. He's got no damage on that front wing right now. No visible damage.
Well, he can count himself lucky for no damage. The tires, they might be overheated, and that's another story. Also worth pointing out, Freeware, he popped himself into the top 2. He got past Larson last time around, and after Tuptus got through on the start-finish straight, he now sits 2nd place, and we'll see what Freeware could do, see if he can get past Tuptus for 1st position. We'll see both of them German drivers, so German 1-2 right now as Freeware takes that more, quicker, more risky line through turn 15 over the curb. A little bit of a bump there, but you can get the car across it if you're brave enough. Freeware just hunting down P1 right now, looking for it. We'll see. Can he get him down into turn 1? Obviously, he will have DRS. He's got a bit of an ERS advantage, but basically identical battery charges between the 2 Germans here as they go down. They're leaving Larson in their dust a little bit, 9/10, but he should catch back up with DRS utilization, but it'll only be good to be about 7/10 off the rear of Larson at better of
Akraid.
Sorry.
Akraid and Vincent exchange. Akraid on the mediums, using that DRS to good effect, securing the fastest lap of 1:43.451 here now in Baku.
Freeware, oh, he's gone too deep.
Oh, that's not good. That is not good for him at all. He is trying to get things rotated and into a position where he can do something about this, and Look at the position drop for the German driver we were just watching fight for lead of this race. Wow.
Again, it's what we saw AEST do earlier in free, where Striff, every time it seems to be looking up for him, it all goes terribly wrong for him. I don't know what is happening to him this season, but he's cursed in some way. He gets up into a fight for the top positions and then just drops all the way down the order. We are only 11 laps into 51, so he's got plenty of time to recover from it. But you know, with the season free has been having, the confidence, it's got to be low after an incident like that where you're fighting for P1 and then drop down once more to the bottom of the points. So we'll see if he can come back, but right now that sort of takes the wind out of the action sails as we wait for a few more drivers to close up here. DRS should help with that. And well, one man who might have a little crack here is Dirk Chocolate on Vincent. Vincent, no DRS ahead, and Dirk, he knows it. They're both pushing right now with ERS, but they're running pretty low on that battery. 27% right now. There he goes, rear wing popping open. Ace, he's into the pit lane. Is there damage on that car? Well, we'll have a look after Dirk. Is he going to get the move? I think he's a little bit too far down here, and he doesn't get that move. Ace, yeah, Ace has got a big portion of that front wing missing. So he goes onto a fresh set of mediums with a new front wing, and this is going to drop the Dutchman once more. But again, someone we're seeing have a great race, keeps making mistakes then when he gets up into the higher point scoring positions.
A few battles really tightening up on track right now. We have Vincent, Dirk retaining. Oh, Vincent! That's not no, that's not what you're supposed to do there, my friend, and I think he might have had a disconnect.
Yeah, maybe a game crash there, because that just looked a little bit unfortunate from every sort of way you can sort of look at that. But we'll get him in.
Corruption karma.
Hopefully.
Wheel to wheel between the Renault and the Racing Point right now through turn 4, and it's a drag race into turns 5 and 6. Eruption, 13th position. Anius holding well with Swifty as well in this fight for now. 4th position. Vincent back in. However, his car, surprisingly enough, no visible damage, and I think that's just a miracle.
Yeah, given that he sort of straight lined turn 4 there, what you say, very, very lucky to get away from that unscathed. Rutanius on the rear of Swifty. We've got a timing tower in terms of deltas, but there it goes, pops back up as the Williams locks up into turn 1. Rutanius gives him just as much room as he needs to get a car through in between the McLaren and the barrier. Swifty, he's sporting an end plate missing on the right hand side, so he is a little bit slower through these corners. Is that going to cost him the move back on Rutanius down into turn 3? I'm not quite sure. He might go for a lunch if Vexit. Vincent, they've exchanged. And Vexit, well, takes advantage. And Ace!
Oh! That's
oh,
not,
he's lost an end plate.
That's not going well for him. That's not good for him at all. That's very bad luck.
Impatience at its finest right there. He's trying to get himself back into this race a bit too desperately. He's got the pace. He just needs to use it at the right moments. He had a great start, a great safety car restart. Now it's all falling apart for the Dutchman, who's got wing damage once more.
And he's with a little bit of a slip. 50 wanting to try and do everything he can to stick with Rutanius here. We'll have the updated intervals in just a moment for the top 3.
Well, Swifty, this damage not deterring him from pushing on the McLaren. And Larson as well. He's getting pretty close to Tuptus, but I don't think he's going to get the move done here. Whereas Swifty, very much on for him. Get a little bit of revenge on what Rutanius did. Rutanius already defending the inside. And with the damage that Swifty's got, Rutanius might be able to find a way back past through turn 1 or turn 2. Yeah, we'll see what happens. A little bit of tap to the rear of the Williams, but both drivers still okay, and Rutanius not going to take advantage of that. You know, do a bump and run, as people like to call it, when that sort of light nudge happens between cars. But Rutenius here, he knows he's going to have a little speed with DRS down into turn 3. I think he's going to be too far back though when he is, so not getting past Swifty here, but end plate damage to Swifty might hold Rutenius up, and that's not what he wants with Acraid behind them, catching pretty rapidly in that Ferrari.
Ace now again into the pit lane and out, and we'll just have to see what happens in this race, as there's still such a long way to go for these racers and a variety of pit stops that will still need to come through.
This race is going to run out of tires, so he needs to be careful. He's already used 4 sets in this race. This Rutenius a little bit wide coming out of Castle there, going through turn 12, and you can see he's just chopping off the back of Swifty.
Yeah.
And for someone who's got end plate damage, Swifty performing very, very well right now. Rutenius, he's got a full front wing. He's just struggling to keep up with the Williams there, and you're seeing, you know, sort of high mid-table tier 2 driver versus tier 3 champion here, and right now the tier 2 driver very much holding his own and showing Rutenius who's boss here, but Rutenius to be in P5 on this grid, still very, very impressive. But he's got Acraid chasing, and Acraid, it was 1.7 seconds strip at the start of the lap. It's now 8/10, and well, that's DRS, but
Castle.
Castle, and Siffy's into the wall as well.
Oh, VSC has been deployed. Siffy hasn't quite gone into the wall.
Oh, well, Ace has just squeezed his way through there.
I can't believe I just watched that. Siffy took a penalty for that. Siffy took 5 seconds for that.
Oh, maybe he's just crashed into the Ferrari. Well, maybe he does deserve that 5-second penalty for just driving into the stationary car under VSC conditions. Plenty of time to just wait for the Ferrari there to get cleared away by the marshals. There it is, it's gone. And we are back to green flag racing. Very bizarre.
I imagine Ace is having a good laugh right now. I am. Oh, wow. That was something else to see. Let's see Swifty now.
The man who knows the width of his car.
No doubt.
There we go. Swifty, Rutenius, Acraid all through Castle section. The damage has been cleared. Acraid's teammate. And there goes Malek leaving the session. Oh my, I can't believe what we saw. Rutenius, well, he's tried to take that line. A more aggressive time through 15 and not worked out for him there, and still struggling. So I was surprised at how much he's not able to capitalize on Swifty's damage through that second sector of track. It really is damaging to have that portion of your front wing missing. Obviously now a great run of speed for him as it goes on straight, and Swifty here poised to lose 2 positions. Acraid's gonna make it 3 wide here, and he's so close to the pit wall, like just enough space. Rutenius only saw him last second, trying to slipstream him down into turn 1, but it's the Ferrari who gets 2 places. Swifty loses out on both, and Rutenius, well, he remains P5, but
Very
he's just got a different car in front of him and a different car behind him.
Yeah, very nicely done there for Acraid.
Brilliant drive, or better driving from Acraid. Like he's saying, Swifty now, I think this might be the time we see him drop off a bit. Now that he's behind, he's not able to, you know, hold these guys up through sector 2 anymore. And he's just going to lose out a bit in terms of raw pace through the corners. He's not dropping off hugely, but the pace definitely won't be there. He's got a lot of battery though. He has really been saving right now, and we'll see how that goes. We're on lap 16, still 18 drivers in this one, and we weren't saying that 2 weeks ago, were we, Striff?
No, and of course, one thing about Rutenius, this is the first time Rutenius has come into an endurance race taking a penalty, considering the last 2 races where he took podiums. So he has 3 seconds. This isn't what we've seen from him before. He's utilizing that curbing of turn 15.
Acraid's taken his end plate off there.
Was that? Yes. So this is huge for the McLaren and both the Williams and Freeware as well, who is now within this.
Well, Freeware's got the pace. We know that. We saw him, you know, battling for the lead. Here goes Rutenius on Acraid, and I don't think he's going to make this too difficult for the Dutchman. Freeware's got into the DRS. Very nice for him. Larsen's into the pits. He's just aiming for a regular stop. Accurate in as well to replace that front wing, but Freeware now on the rear of Swifty. And he should just have DRS here. He's just in time for the line, I think. And he's gaining a lot through there in second turn 2. And for the Alfa Romeo, doing very nicely to just catch back up. We saw him do something similar to what we saw Ace do, where he just went a bit hot into turn 3, had to take the run off and get it turned around. He did that stuff. You'll notice with what Freeware did, he didn't just spin the car around. He didn't overheat those rears. He did more of a 3-point turn to get that car pointing in the right direction, a little less aggressively. Takes more time, but hurts the rears a lot less. So Freeware, his patience is being rewarded here. He's back up into the top 5 as Ace sets fastest up 141.6, and he's right now fighting in 14th place, 3.6 seconds down on JA Games, who's been having a pretty quiet race. A few positions gained here and there, taking advantage of the chaos. We'll see where he finishes on all of this, but right now Freeware hunting Swifty. That's where most of the cameras are going to be trained for the next few laps.
This is what you love to see, is just tight battling, and there's going to be some strategies starting to play a role here with Lars and Acraid coming through on some pit stops within the top 10 here. Acraid onto those softs. You got Larsen onto the mediums. Look at this now. Freeware. He's going to have that overtake and utilization. Drops the overtake, flips open the rear wing. Hello, and here is Swifty. He's got that outside. As we come into turn 1 now, Freeware, he is ahead, and he's going to take that outside line, that optimal line, but he's gone a little bit deep. I think he misjudged the entry there, carrying a lot of speed. Rutanius now in his grasp, as Rutanius is in 3rd position with that 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, it's, you know, the thing here at Baku is you want as low downforce as you can get away with to get that straight line speed. Larsen, Dark Chocolate. Larsen on those fresh mediums, getting past the Red Bull driver there for 6th place, as well as Ace. He gets past JA Games. Fresh softs versus old hards. Not really a lot that JA Games can do down there in 14th position. But going back up to the front, you know, Lars on those fresh softs, going to be pushing, and we're going to see tires start to come through. And we'll see where they land. It's interesting that Acraid went for softs on his pit stop. Obviously, he has to pit again. Wasn't planning to come in, obviously getting rid of that damage that he picked up, but see what the Ferrari does on those softs. I imagine maybe try and take him for some hards at the end. One more stop for him, potentially, but we'll have to see what the tires are set to do. Obviously, that safety car in the early stages changed things up a bit. Everyone onto mediums much earlier than they anticipated, so it's just a case of who's done the most practice, who knows how long the tires can go, and in a lot of the cases, it's just sort of double what they can do in a 50% race. As here goes Freeware, looking at Rutanius. Swifty doesn't have a run at all on this, but Freeware is the German versus the Dutchman, and breezes around the outside of Rutanius. No damage on either car, and this is a straight dogfight for P3, and Freeware back up into the podium slots. He was fighting with Sindako and Tuptus a fairly long time ago now, and he's back to where he might be able to rejoin that fight in a few moments' time. As there's another Vincent's crash coming out of 19.
This might be a safety car. I think it just might be. Here comes Alex Budd. Does he know? Yes, he does. There's the car on the inside. Vincent Nyquist is out of this race. That's a very fast section of circuit. However, he is off on the right-hand side, somewhat out of the racing line here, and I don't think we are going to see a deployment for the safety car.
No, I think it's tucked away nicely there, and it's going to avoid spawning a full course yellow. But what's going to happen here? Rutanius, he's facing the wrong way coming out of the chicane at 5 and 6. There's a lot of debris. I don't know if he's come together with someone else or if that's just him. When he's got to get that turn around, he's still got some front wing, but not a lot. And there's a Ferrari coming through. Acraid just squeezes by, and he'll be happy to gain the place back on a driver he was fighting with before he had an incident. But Rutanius, well, he's missing a huge portion of the right-hand side of that front wing drift.
That's very unfortunate for the Dutch driver here, after he was off to a really good position now. No safety car for the retirement of Vincent Nyquist and Rutanius either. Even a VSC deployment has been discarded, or, well, hasn't been. Ooh, what's happening here? Siffy's gone deep at turn 3.
Lap 20, not a lap to be a McLaren, it would seem. Both having issues here, and
Evidently. Been a very,
surprising
very
is
tough time.
we've seen a lot of people go deep there on that turn 3. You know, we're only 20 laps in. I was saying about freeware that you want to run as low downforce as possible, and maybe, you know, late on the brakes, you just understeer a bit into those things. But to see 3 different drivers do it already at this stage of the race, this seems unusual. And there is a crash for, well, I think it's Wavy. Was he just letting someone by? But the yellow flag was thrown up. No damage.
No
so
damage.
just a yellow flag for letting someone pass, I think. Maybe a little slow into turn 3 on the apex, but what a crazy couple of laps it's been. One of these drivers, Rutanius, gets into the pits. Fresh shots for him, and he's going to come out right with JA here. Where is the Haas in relation to the McLaren? Just behind, and well, he won't be any threat to Rutanius given the tyre differential.
Yeah, I agree with you here. The hards gonna be a tough tire to compete with softs with. JA on a very different strategy here. Rutanius now on these softs. I don't think that these tires for him will last. Meaning that we're gonna see him come in again. I think we're gonna see a lot of drivers come in multiple times here. It's a very long campaign. The tires react very differently here. I remember driving here in league races. It's very difficult to find grip. It's not like I much prefer driving here in the 2019 release. I can say that. However, we've only got 3 drivers out right now, lap 21. Knockwood, we have ourselves a solid run through the rest of this race for strategy. Because you see, well, everyone pretty well has stopped. We did have a safety car resulting in the first stop for a lot of these drivers. But it's really going to shake up strategy here.
Yeah, now everyone's settled in. There's not too much close battling. Ace Ritchie, he's closing on Alex, but on Alex's tires, he'll probably be the next person to pit, provided no one else has a crash into the wall, you know, needs a front wing replacement. But I imagine that's going to be the next exchange there. Larson and Swifty as well. Larson closing in. Swifty now, without anyone to tow him along with DRS. He's losing a bit of time with that front wing damage that he's been supporting for 15 laps. Well, not 15 laps, but for quite some time. He hasn't pitted 15 laps. Here goes Ace on Alex Buddy. You imagine this is going to be a pretty cut and dry move down into turn 3, but we've seen Ace. He's done it a few times, a little late on the brakes down into here. This time, he's just about got it turned in to avoid the wall. It's a bit late, though, and Alex Bud knows it. He's looking for it around the outside. He can really just sense that Ace is not confident in that third turn. He's got a lot of pace. He's got the fastest lap under his belt, but just something about that AlphaTauri is a little off through that third turn.
Yeah, he struggled there, certainly. Alex Bud trying to keep that pressure applied as much as he can. Ackroyd on the rear of Exit. And we have, of course, Larson very tight to the rear of Swifty. Here it comes, the move from the Mercedes. Looking, well, he's going to come through to the inside line.
No need to make that any more difficult than it needs to be, particularly that Swifty's got damage. Ackroyd Vexit, we're going to see a similar thing here. This time, though, the overtaking car going to the outside. They've got Asset ahead of them in the Renault. And it's still side by side as they go into turn 1. Ackroyd 4-lap old Sosto, much more traction. Gets it done very aggressively around the outside there on the curbing and almost runs into the back of the Renault. Does that give Vexit the run? It doesn't. But Vexit, he's on 12-lap old hards. Definitely a fast driver, but not able to do anything on those tires. Now can Ackroyd find it up the inside into turn 3? He's going to try it. He's very, very late on the brakes.
Oh.
Vexit's going to try it as well.
Exit's
And
there,
Asset's
yeah.
now side by side.
I think this is not the right time to fight for Vexit. I think he needed to just wait a second here because he's just going to lose time overall to Ackroyd. He gets Hasseth, but look at the cost. Look at the cost to Ackroyd ahead here. Nearly 2 seconds. I don't think it was worth it. Ackroyd has DRS to Dirk.
he was always going to have that though. Vexit just wanted to clear this car, try not to get held up through sector 2, and you can see there's a bit of a gap there between them already. So it's a tough call. Baku, that second section, it's tricky. Do you go for the overtake and cost yourself time like you were saying, or do you get held up?
Yeah.
Look at the gap forming between Hasith and Vexit. It's growing, but the hard tires for Vexit, he could have really done with a DRS, but he's dropping to Acrade anyway, so it would have been hard to stay with him. And Acrade now, he's just going to breeze past Dark Chocolate. Vexit was never going to hold that Ferrari accountable for in terms of pace, and
here we
was
go.
fresh off doing the Ferrari wonders.
Yeah, not a lot.
Dark Chocolate.
Not a lot Dirt can do here. Big shout out to Sean of the Dirt. Thank you so much for the raid of 9. Welcome in, everyone, to some, well, Misfits endurance racing, as we call it. It's a 100% distance campaign around the streets of Baku. It's the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us. We're just about halfway through here. 51 laps of action, and what an action-packed endeavor we've had here so far.
Yeah, it's been great fun. At the moment, we're, you know, almost halfway through, and we're at that stage where, you know, drivers will start to have to click into that, you know, upper gear in terms of concentration. We're approaching where we would usually end things in a traditional MRL league race. 50%, of course, would take us, I think, 26 laps. 51, it's not in a dividable number, so I think 26 is what we'd usually go for around here, if I'm not mistaken. Someone can correct me though if it's 25, but you know, everyone now, they're getting to the point where basically two races that we have to do in the 100% race. Hasith on the rear,
as you were gonna say. Yeah, Hasith. Exit. Oh, Hasith with a bit of a slide coming out of turn 16. Rutanius on the rear of Alex Budd. Bit of a snap for Rutanius there. He thinks better of it coming through turn 14.
yeah, interesting place to overtake. I don't quite know why he looked for it there. You know, Alex is on these old softs, so probably won't get a great run here. And for Rutanius, there you go. Easy as you like, coming out of turn 16. So not quite sure why he went for the move through, you know, that high side of sector 2. Bit of an odd place to try and strike and overtake Alex, though. I'll thank Rutanius for the DRS, unless of course he comes into the pits here. But Alex is just hugging the diffuser of Rutanius, really glued to the gearbox of that McLaren. But here he goes around the outside, and Rutanius sort of mistimed these moves twice now. But a big lunge, well, not lunge, he's just gone very wide in the Red Bull for Alex Budd. And oh, they've really turned late there, but turn 2 as well. So for Alex on these tires, they're really starting to come to the end of their tether. But how long can he take a set of mediums? Can he take them all the way? He might be able to here. It'll be a real stretch, but second these soft 15 lap strip, that tire, you know, obviously doesn't last as long as the mediums. We'll see what he can do.
Yeah, and speaking of medium tires, Vexit right now on the rear of Dirk Chocolate, just reeling in the medium runner, just slowly pulling away from Hasith. And this will be very, very good for Vexit as he's on these hards. And these mediums continue, and well, they start to wear out to the point where his tires are just far quicker. This is one of the tightest gaps on grid here. You can see now the DRS will come open on the rear wing, and Dirk Chocolate just trying to get that car positioned to make Vexit do a little bit of work to follow whatever slipstream is available.
Well, everyone now, they'll be thinking about the tires, and that impacts how you go about battling. You can see there, Dark Chocolate switches off to the inside very early, then comes back, and Vexit still wants to go around the outside of the Red Bull and just finds enough space. Great racing from the pair of them there.
That was very tight, very nice racing there. Dirk Chocolate trying to make sure trying to Trying to warn off the Haas. He's trying to close off that door. Vexit says, I don't care how tight you're going to squeeze me, sir. I'm here. I'm not moving. And this position is now mine with a smooth move, a very tight move into 7th position. A solid defensive effort from Dirk as well. You love to see that stuff. Ooh. Acraid, or was that... Hold on a moment here. Somebody just took off a good chunk coming through Castle. I'm not sure who it was, but there was definitely debris there.
Well, one person I'm interested in, Alex, but he came in for his pit stop. He came for mediums like I thought he would. The difference here is they used shift. They've already got 3 laps on them, so taking them to the end was already going to be a little bit difficult. 26 laps or so would have been impressive, as Ace picks up a 3-second time penalty, closing up into those points once more, but penalties going to be a problem here. Acraid, I think you might be right in thinking he was the damage. He's coming to the pit lane again. Wavy,
that's in the pit
he's called it quits in the pit lane. But yeah, tires now really starting to play a role, and people with these wing changes as well. You can see now at this stage of the race, you pick up wing damage here. You sort of inclined to do what Swifty's done, where you just sort of race along with it to not take the extra pit stop. So that can hurt your time.
Acraid has been caught in the pit lane behind Wavy's car.
Thankfully, that's despawned and hasn't held it. We've seen that glitch before. And my mind wanders back to Zandvoort earlier on. And that was quite chaotic. Thankfully, we don't have to restart this race halfway through as a result of a pit lane issue, but Acraid won't be too satisfied with that. He's on 3-lap old mediums as well, so probably his tires. I think they might be the tires that he used in qualifying. I don't know. Many of them did go out on qualifying runs in Tesla, so they must have been used in the race at some point, but I think it's just with that wing damage that Acraid's been picking up. He's been in and out of the pit so many times already. Same with Alex Budd. So it's tricky for these guys in terms of which tires to use. But at the halfway point now, I expect that we'll start seeing a lot of those medium runners maybe come in for a second set of the yellow compound tires. And probably the pit window going to open in 2 or 3 laps time, if not earlier, Striff. It's going to be, that time of the race. There's eruption on the rear. J.A. Games getting slightly out of shape coming out of turn 12.
Yeah, they have Alex Budd on the rear here. And you can see the
speed eruption has.
Look at how much this is costing him as well. Alex Budd, he's going to be thrilled because he'll have DRS on the rear of Eruption, who has also significantly more worn tires. He's got the hard compound tires. J.A. Games, he might lose 2 positions here. Eruption, well, surely he's going to get it. Alex Budd, he might have an opportunity to get J. I don't know about the racing point. There goes Ace into the pit lane, and this time might be the first time not getting a wing change. I'm not entirely sure if he got one there or not, but here it is. Eruption on the inside. J.A. Games. Where's Alex Budd? Not close enough. Oh, and he had so much speed there, and I think he just misjudged how early maybe James needed to brake. I'm not sure. But that was extremely unfortunate for the Red Bull here. Yes, damage for him.
Tough luck for Alex Budd. Just mistimed it, like you say. Larson, he's gaining on these 9-lap old mediums. We saw him not pit under the early safety car. Now he's in DRS range of freeware, so starting to reel in the podium positions. And right now he's poised for a great finish here. He'll probably be pitting again just as the top 3 are. The difference being, I imagine he's going to be on to soft at the end of this one. Swifty, he's coming in. He is getting off of these mediums. He wants to pit as early as possible in this window to finally repair the front wing of that Williams. He has been doing so well with the damage that he's got. But what's he going for? It looks like a set of soft strip.
It is, yeah. He has the red tires on. And we'll just have to see how this pans out for him with this much of a race left. I don't know if this was the right call. We're on lap 28 out of 51.
I feel like he's praying for a safety car
Yeah.
with that strategy.
Well, given the strategy differential and all of the tight battling that we've seen through this race, he may just get one. We never know. Had a couple of situations I feel should have or very well could have brought out a safety car. But just one so far.
We got that VSC for the castle incident, if I'm not mistaken, and obviously Vincent, only a yellow flag, so definitely potential for some safety cars. But hasn't halted the race up too much with those stops. We'll see what happens. I want to see the pace that Swifty has here, whether these softs, he's got to preserve them to an extent. He might be able to stretch them to the end, and the safety car would save him either way that he chooses to go. But I don't know. Larson, I imagine he's going to be quite comfortable to softs to the end, but maybe even, push these tires all the way. Depends on what he chooses to do. He's got time behind, so really flexible. I imagine most people now, top to Sindaku Freeway, going to try and extend for a final set of softs to the end of this race in a few laps time. Take those tires a little bit longer now that Swifty's, opened the door for that strategy. But it's just a case of how confident people are on their tire wear and how many battles do you think you're going to get hooked into here. As Larson struggling to keep pace with Freeway despite the tire difference.
Freeway dancing around with his fuel here. Look at the position changes. Let's take a look at the fastest lap. The fastest lap of 141.642 from Acraid there. Biggest positions gain 10 for Hassett. On one stop here so far, he's running on 23-lap-old medium compound tires. Penalties, 3 seconds for Rutanius as well as Ace. Eruption has 5, Siffy has 5. Alex Budd, unfortunately, holding on to 6 seconds.
It's nice to see that penalties won't play a huge role, particularly in the points. You got Rutanius there. Right now, he's only got 3 seconds, so it shouldn't play a huge role in his race. He might lose the position to Acraid, but other than that, I don't think it's going to cost anyone too much. Like I said, in terms of the point scoring positions. Again, Larson just not able to quite close down to Freeway, and he just, as long as he can hold on to this DRS window here, get onto softs at the same time, he'll probably follow the German into the pit lane, to be honest. Unless he feels that Freeway goes a little too early for a fresh set of softs. Just a waiting game, waiting for the dominoes to fall. Potential for an undercut. Not huge, but definitely out there if someone plays their cards right. And we're at the point now, we saw Alex Budd take his softs 15 laps, I believe. 16 away from the end of the race. No, 21, sorry. My math is way off on that one. The endurance race is getting to me as well, Striff. But
you're feeling the fatigue.
Yeah, I hate to think what the driver's doing. Baku getting to me. It's the heat. It's the heat wave in the UK. I'm going to blame it on that, but yeah.
Here goes Ace. Gets Karma easy as you like. Karma shooting into the pit lane here.
Yeah, it's, again, interesting time to come in, especially off a 17-lap-old hard. He's gone for the mediums, though, so that makes sense. Maybe not having any softs left, because if he did, I imagine he would have gone a little longer. Because to go on to mediums now is a bit of an odd choice, in my opinion, unless he doesn't believe he can take the softs long enough. Or he's just really not liking those hards. They're not the best around here. They're not the best in this game. Or in real life, to be honest. You want to be on the faster of the 2 compounds, the mediums or the softs. And speaking of someone coming in, Cuptus in the Racing Point. He is pitting from lead of race.
Well, this is significant.
And mediums and a front wing change. Missing a right end plate, I think. So
this is going to bring him
pick it up.
This is going to bring him into a battle, surely, as he, of course, will come out of the pit lane, and Sindako, Freeware, have to see what they do here. Call this.
given that there's been a wing change there for Toptus, I imagine that they can extend this and try and take a tire advantage if they can get a set of softs on at the end.
I think that's a really big gamble.
They've got the few extra seconds that Toptus has had as a result of that wing change. The problem is though that those few seconds have come from Toptus's lead. So it is a gamble, but if they think they've got pace, I think it might be worth it. We'll see what they do. There's 2 drivers there. It was 3, because you could include Larson in this as well, because he's on the rear of this.
Right.
He's now closing in on freeware. And he's got a little bit extra. He's got these tires that are 13 laps old. He's got 12 laps left in them.
Yeah, he has a little bit to play with here, and I think he has that option to go to the softs way later.
And I think because he has that option open, I think freeware has to go for the softs. Because otherwise he's just going to lose to Larson in the closing stages, just on raw pace, you would think. Freeware, he is doing well to hold off the Mercedes right now, given the tire, advantage that Larson has. He's burning quite a bit of battery though as a result, so we'll see. It's getting to the point where softs to the end is becoming possible. I wouldn't want to do it from this point out, but it is a gamble. Swifty, speaking of soft runners, he's catching Hasith, who's catching Dirk, so there's a little 3-way battle coming out for P6 right now. I want to know what Swifty's planning here. Is he going to pit again on those softs? He is already 3 laps in, and Hasith just snaps to the inside there, gets out of the Williams way.
Yeah, not even going to bother with Swifty here. I think he's just expecting Swifty to punch his way through and really push that Red Bull into him. And look at this. We have a little bit of a view from Hasith, but that's Swifty up on the inside of Dirk through turn 3. And this is going to do exactly what Hasith wants. This is going to just give him an opportunity to reel in Dirk.
Yeah, great reading of the situation for the Renault driver to just sort of bring himself a little bit closer to the Red Bull whilst also not costing himself any time letting Swifty by. So for him, great race awareness and racecraft there as Dirk has a little bit of a problem through the castle section. Close. And now you just see Dirk starting to feel the wear, I think, on those 26 lap old mediums. Again, doing the same strategy as the guys up at the front here are doing. And as a result, he needs to be careful. Hasith looking up the inside of 15, never going to go for a move up there. You really don't want to do that unless the car in front basically crashes. And even then, you've got to really take your chances carefully. So just putting that threat in probably just got Dirk begging for him not to make the move, and he didn't. He's thought better of it, and now losing a bit of time to the Red Bull driver ahead. Larson, he's closing in on freeware, but not able to get the move done into turn 3. Dirk's in. No, he's not.
So he's decided against it. Look at Hasith here. He's looking to the inside. Yeah, it's cost him a lot. He's a little bit later on the brakes than the Renault. He holds this, but has it cost him too much here? I think he might have had a better shot into turn 3 had that not occurred. Look at Hasith. He's going to have that DRS. The rear wing is split open once again. Dirk's had a good exit here out of turn 2. I don't think the move's on. Dirk just moving to that inside, or excuse me, the outside optimal run in. Hasith's going to have to wait a moment for this move.
Dirk has really got his elbows out. He is not letting this Renault through without a fight. He's lost the position to Swifty, and you see now 3.6 seconds. Nothing that he could do here. These guys, they're racing directly for position. They're on the identical strategy. And whatever Dirk does, Hasith has to follow, and that's why he's gone to that pit lane a bit early. Hasith thinking, I'm not going in, I'm not going to play. And the fact that he's not playing in this games, Hasith's race awareness right now, Striff, is really impressive. He's just not, giving in to those strategies as Dirk runs wide. Hasith knows he has the upper hand, being behind the Red Bull here, and he's just waiting, biding his time again. Possibly going to put the threat, the fear of God into Dirk on the inside of 15. Just looking there, you never want someone to send it into 15.
No, you don't.
But Hasith is just making Dirk, very aware of him.
Reminds me of Remco.
It does. I think that Red Bull has got an aura. It's got something in it.
All right, here we go. Okay, here we have it again. This is what we saw from Dirk last time. He's just sitting on that line. This time he's in. Hasseth is with him.
Well, it's definitely a pit lane cut, but we'll see if either of them care. They just want the race, I think. And Hasseth knew that he had the advantage being behind him. And well, he's actually got him. He's overtaken Dirk in the pits.
Wow.
That's incredible. We're talking about advantage. He's got a car in between the two of them as well. If he can hold Akrade here on the inside of turn 2, and it's side by side between the Renault and the Ferrari.
There's a car looking the wrong way. Armor Lessons looking the wrong way outside of 16 as well.
What is going on here? He needs to get off of this racing line before these guys, fast runners come through, and he's realized that, thank goodness.
Well, Hasseth getting ahead of Dirk Chocolate in the pit lane. Meanwhile, Carmelesson unfortunately dropping positions on those fresh mediums. Akrade, he's going to be holding up the pair of these two for a few minutes or a few moments. We'll have to see how they navigate Sector 2.
Well, top 3 as well. They're getting into their fight. Sindako, Freeware, Larsen. Freeware and Larsen, they've caught the leader. Top just 9.2 seconds behind. He's got a penalty, though. And he didn't have that too many laps to go. It's just 3 seconds, so he's picked it up from multiple warnings. That could play a role in the end of things. We've got a few more now. Akrade as well. Joins Rutanius in that top 10 with a penalty. Things starting to spice up here in the closing portion of this race. We'll see how everything falls here, but plenty of racing still to go. It's about half of what we would see in a traditional league race.
Here we go. The trigger pull coming from Hasseth now. Going to be an easy move here, having the fresh softs. Where's Dirk? Not close enough to get it done here. And this will be great for Hasseth to get a little bit of separation, even if it's for a sector or 2. Rutanius in for fresh softs on lap 35.
Well, they can go for the end here. There's no doubt about it. We saw Freeware. That's not a good run through 15. We'll come back to the tire situation as Larsen. He has a look, but he's playing the patient game. He knows the DRS detection zone isn't for a little while, but Freeware, I spoke before how turn 15, that inside line taking across the curb is a little bit more risky. Nearly cost Freeware there an end plate as well as a position. It might cost him the position still, though. The DRS will defend him. Is he coming into the pit lane? He is. The German into the pits on lap 36. As Sindako goes on, and he's now going to have to fend off Larsen, who's still got a 12-lap tire advantage. 30 laps right now for Sindako. And that means that Larsen could go to the end shift. He could take these mediums to the end if he wanted to. He's got a great option here.
He may be able to. Sindako, however, he's going to have to respond to Freeware without a doubt. And it's a solid undercut there from Freeware, I think. Gonna have to see how that timing plays out. Larsen's gonna dispatch Sindako, I think, in a matter of moments here. This turn 7, so tricky. Look at the lockup on the AlphaTauri. Larsen with a snap, he slides it. This is giving Sindako a little bit of breathing space. Hasseth, he comes across with the fastest run of the campaign so far. We're on lap 36, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you've been enjoying the racing. My name is Striffy. I'm here from Canada. Joining me has been Unicorn from the UK, and well, we've got Sindako and Larsen having themselves a good old duel for our entertainment.
Yeah, and it's interesting. We'll see whether the AlphaTauri comes into the pits. Pulls into because of Freeware, and Freeware, speaking of, the German driver has picked up a penalty, so that could be huge at the end of this one. Here we go, DRS in favor of the AlphaTauri.
Larsen's coming in. Larsen is coming into the pit lane, and Sindako's staying out. Whoa, what kind of strategy differential are we going to see now? Because that is very interesting. Sindako staying out here.
Top decision net lead of the race again, even with the penalty and the wing change. The Racing Point has had a stroke of genius somewhere along the line with his strategy. He is calm and lesson. He takes fastest lap, annihilates the previous best. Alex Bud, well, it's in the pit lane, it would seem.
Oh, you were getting excited. I was getting excited.
I see retired from the session, and then I see the yellow flag in second one.
That's very unfortunate for Alex.
But can you imagine a safety car then? That would have been utterly crazy for the end of this race, but we'll see what happens now. I'm very curious as to what Sindako does. Surely he has to come into the pits this time around.
Neon coming through into the chat, letting us know that Alex Bud feeling some pain in his shoulder, so he's gonna have to. He's called it early there, and well, those that don't know, Alex likes to do physical activity and sometimes gets into some things. That's all I'll say on that. So I hope it's just not something. I hope it's something that just playing up, nothing terrible.
Is something we're seeing develop. Sindako, well, he's into the pits, but Dirk, he's on 2-lap-old softs. He's got Akrade, who's pushing quite hard to try and catch the Red Bull, and they've got Swifty behind the Williams. Was suffering with damage earlier on the race. Pushed forward now, is on fresh shots with a fresh front wing, and Akrade, yeah. Massive loss of speed for the Ferrari. Keeps it on the wall though, but that will let Swifty pass. Neither of them will have DRS on Dirk though, and I think it'll be Akrade with DRS on Swifty. It is, but I think the pace difference already is too huge to counteract there. Swifty should have DRS down into turn 3 if he can close 200s. Akrade into the pit lane. I don't think did he get damage? Or is he's just coming for softs? He's just getting off those 14-lap-old mediums.
This has just been a really strategically dynamic race, all things said and considered. We've had
a very, very interesting one.
We had a couple of safety car or VSCs. We had one full safety car, if I'm not mistaken, just the one so far.
Yeah, one of each, I think. And we've had a whole host of pit stops as well. There's been a massive amount in this race. A minimum of 2 per driver. Well, 3 for those still running. And a maximum of 6. And that's for multiple drivers. So it's been quite the active pit lane. Probably the most active we've seen in quite some time. And now Dirk Chocolate, he'll feel Swifty breathing down his neck as well. Speaking of full course yellows, Striff, we've got a VSC and Ace. He's crashed in sector 2.
I'm trying to find his car on the map. And
just out of turn 14. If his car isn't removed, JA Games will be the next one to see it. I think the car will be despawned by the time he gets there. Asif choosing to come into the pits under this VSC. As in specific, yeah, the car's gone. But it's where we saw Shenjie and Fraser come together in Tier 1 earlier this season. VSC's still out here. We'll see if anyone gets a drive through. We hope they don't, because it would be pretty much race ending, at least for the position they're currently holding.
That would definitely be race ending.
Okay, it's Akrade. Picks it up. He's in P10, and now he might actually still be able to score a point here if he can stay ahead of JA Games. 34 seconds. I don't think the drive through will cost him that much time. And given the tyre advantage there, I don't know if JA could take those hards to the end. It'll be quite the stint. He hasn't been into the pit lane for 30 laps, which is more than a 50% league race. But they are the hard compounds, so they can go for quite some time.
Ace coming through with a raid after his retirement. Thank you very much for the raid. Unfortunate to see your ace, excuse me, your race end early.
Here we go. Swifty. Dirk's put up quite the fight to hold the Williams behind him. But once more, Swifty versus a tier 3 driver, showing him who's boss. And he sweeps past on the inside and takes the Red Bull for P6. Back a little bit of a lock-up, looking for a bit of a switch back there.
Yeah, there's just not a lot that he's able to do right now compared to Swifty. Swifty showing good pace, although Dirk has the DRS. He's just not able to catch up, and we have another retirement here as there's a lockup for Dirk. It's Akrade in the pit lane. We are going to have a yellow through sector 1. And we are now down to 13 drivers in contention.
Well, a lot more successful than 2 weeks ago, so I don't want to tell the drivers to give themselves a pat on the back too early. We still got 11 laps here, as you know. At Crane, he, after that, getting that drive through, he's called it quits. I say in the pit lane, he's sped into the pits, usually a pretty good indicator someone's going to manually retire. Larson got a bit of a run on freeway here. I don't think we'll see him get him into turn 1. Maybe into turn 3, though. We'll see what sort of speed he can garner in that Mercedes versus the Alfa Romeo ahead of him. Ooh, not a great exit out of turn 2 at all. He went sort of oversteered through that corner. Saw him come out at a very weird angle. He didn't really slide. He just turned too much. As there's a yellow flag. Who is that for?
That's for a Ferrari.
Is that Akrade's car? It is.
Really not.
It's come all the way to sector 2.
No. I can't get a view of this car. Why can't...
Well, Larson and Freeway are stuck behind it right now. It's still going. Hopefully it comes into the pit like the wall. It does. It's still going. Well, Akrade now seemingly continuing on as a ghost. I wonder if it's because that served a drive-through. It hasn't retired in the pits yet. I wonder if it will come back into the pit lane.
Oh my. I haven't seen that before.
I wonder if it's because he was supposed to serve a drive-through, so the car, in rules of the game, not allowing itself to come into the pit box there because it had to serve the drive-through. Bit of a weird one if that is the case, but it's still going here.
Has it stopped completely in sector 2?
No, it's still going. It's not exactly fast, but it's still going. And I guess we'll just see where it goes. This is something we haven't seen, and we might never see it again, given that we haven't got too many weeks left on this game. We've only got, 1.5 months. And given that we haven't seen it in nearly a year of using F1 2020 now, unlikely we ever see it again. Hassett getting close to Rutanius here as Larson backs off of Freeway a little bit. Mentioning too quickly the Renault, though. Potentially a great run here on the McLaren. And we'll get to see whether Akrade's car is coming back into the pit lane. If Rutanius, he went for the slipstream, didn't realize that car was going as slow as it was. Had to pull out to avoid running into the rear of him, but that's cost him such a great run of speed down there. And oh my goodness, Rutanius will be very, very annoyed that car was doing what it was doing. It has come back into the pit lane, though. So, bizarre, but nonetheless, it has done a lap. Hopefully it stops in the pit lane and stays there.
That would be ideal.
Although it looks like it's still going, it is worryingly close to turn 1.
Well, I'm I'm with you on this one. Just hoping that that car will pull off after what we thought maybe just, you know, a drive-through penalty served. Hey, we're gonna go for a stroll, but it's just
It's, it's still going. I hate to say it, but
JA
there goes
Games.
Larson.
Oh,
Well, Larson's not able to get the move done there. There goes Jay Games pulling off now to get out of the way, but that's cost Larson some serious time to freeway. He will not be happy with that. And as we come down into turn 3, great news. You can see the Ferrari of Acrade has finally pulled off on the runoff there.
everyone loves to see it. Larson losing a very significant amount of time to freeware here, given JA inside of turn 1. I'm not entirely sure what the situation was there for either driver, but obviously JA got out of the way outside of turn 1 as soon as he realized
Very, very unfortunate. He doesn't want to, cost himself too much. He has got Eruption chasing him, but always tricky. He'll probably lose the position here as he gets very out of shape coming out of turn 12. Manages to stay ahead now, but that run down into turn 1 going to be very difficult for the Haas to maintain his position.
JA on 33 lap old hearts.
Yeah, I was about to say, that is... I imagine he's going to the end now with only 8 laps to go. I say only 8 laps, but that's going to take his tires to 41. And that is, nearly the entire race. So I don't know whether he's going to be able to make it. I wouldn't be surprised to see him pit here for softs, but that's what I would do if I was in his shoes. But I think he might just be going now. He knows he's not going to score a point. Well, the safety car could still come out at this late stage, so it's still worth getting onto some softs, but I think he just wants to see how far he can take those tires.
I really don't know what his options are. I'm trying to think of where he could land if he were to go on softs, and I can't see him netting a point.
I think he has to go on softs and just hope for a safety car in these late few races. His tires are visibly graining on the rear.
Well, he's probably near puncture territory at this point.
I would not be surprised to see one of them burst at least. His rear right is really looking bad on a visual standpoint. Obviously, the tires don't have a huge amount of visual deformation, but there is a clear line there on that rear right. There's actually 2. So I would not be surprised to see it go. His only saving grace is that Eruption's missing an end plate, and that is costing the Racing Point time, not only just being stuck behind this Haas, but the damage won't be helping either. Eruption just needs to be patient, and he's doing well so far.
Patience is what he needs here, certainly.
This is really the only move he needs to get done for the rest of this race. There's no way he catches Rutanius. There's a 1 minute deficit there. Rutanius is already in sector 2. Whilst Eruption and JA, they're not even in sector 1 for the same lap, so they've got to let Vexit through here as well. We'll see how they go about doing this. But JA, great run of speed down the straights as well. So I wonder whether he's running less downforce, which is helping him stay ahead of the Racing Point, who lets through Vexit. And JA will be poised to let through as well. Rutanius picks up his, I believe, second warning. And now JA having to let Vexit through that out of turn 2. Might cost him a bit of speed down into turn 3 with Eruption having that rear wing open. It hasn't let it in the position, but it's brought him much closer to that Haas than he was previously.
Definitely later on the brakes there for as well Eruption. I think he had to get on the brakes a couple times and just switch up and correct.
Larson as well, he's still hunting freeway. Nothing doing in that battle yet. Nothing's changed. But I do think that they're free of any back markers now. They are free to just sort of fight amongst themselves. They shouldn't catch anyone else in this race. And Larson will be very happy about that. This battle here between JA, JA in particular just sort of cost them last time. And these last 6 laps, they'll just be thankful that that won't happen again. I don't know whether Larson necessarily wants the move, though. You know, Freeware's got 3 seconds. The only thing would be is if he got past Freeware, he might get Tuptus. Tuptus has 3 seconds. The gap. Oh, JA, a massive snap! A massive, massive snap. A full 360 rotation, and that has. We weren't sure if we were going to see him take these tires to the end. Well, he has to come into the pits now, Striff.
That's not good for him at all. Not even remotely, and that's just going to drop him all the way to the back, I think. Maybe not. Well, Siffy's quite far back here.
Either way, there will not be points. For the Haas, it was looking pretty thin on the ground as to whether he'd score them in the first place, but now that final nail has been stuck into his coffin, and it's 12th place at best for the Haas driver. Hasseth, he's got Dirk Chocolate. This is sort of seemingly come out of nowhere. The tire advantage definitely in the Renault's hands. 5-lap, no, younger tires compared to the Red Bull.
Oh,
Although a little bit of a problem.
yeah, big misjudgment.
By the hole there. Didn't look natural. He was turning in fine. He is struggling right now in that Renault. Has he got damage to cost him, you know, traction into the corners? Downforce missing? It doesn't look like it. But something is not looking too good in that Renault as he comes into sector 2 here. So to see what happens there. Larson, great run on Freeware. I don't think it's going to be a late move if he gets him into turn 2 here. I don't think he's going to go for it. I'd wait for turn 3 if I was him, and he will wait. So nothing to turn 1. He won't get him to turn 2. There's the timing line. And now look how close he is, although he's lost everything coming out of there. Massive slide for the Mercedes. I wonder if he's waiting for the last minute to try and get slingshot past Freeware into the 3-second window of Tuptus on the last lap. It's a risk, but it might work for him. Because if he passes now, Tuptus will become aware of the situation. I mean, he probably is already, but Freeware's dancing on it. If Larson goes to the move now, he could cost Freeware and himself more time than if he just tries it on the last lap. And he just needs to hope that Freeware's got enough pace in these softs to catch Tuptus on those mediums. Tuptus' mediums, they're going to be fine to the end. So are these softs, but it's just a case of who has more pace at the end. I think Tuptus might just win that one out. So we'll see what happens, but 3.4 seconds the gap to leader for Larson. 3 seconds the penalty. It's going to be close, Drift. It's going to be close. This podium very much undecided right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. Things are tight for a lot of these drivers. Not 47 out of 51.
Oh, this is some serious speed for the Mercedes. He can't not overtake with that. He just breezed past Freeware.
What's happened here? A McLaren's had an issue. Turn 3.
Siffy into the runoff.
Sindako,
No damage again. Second time we've seen that.
Sindako on the freshest softs here, I think, might just be able to get himself ahead of both of these drivers. I think it depends on how quickly he's able to make it through on the Alfa Romeo. Hasseth and Dirk Chocolate are about to do battle.
Larson now 3.3 seconds off of Tuptus, and if Freeware gets pulled into a battle with Sindako here, Larson might just be able to close it. I don't know if his tires have got just enough life left in them. He's closing slowly, Tuptus. It all depends. I think this is going to be more setup based than tire based here. If Larson's running, you know, a faster setup, he should have this one. But slow through Castle section, he's struggling in these low speed corners. We saw him having problems through turn 2. And speaking of problems in turn 2, JA
Yeah, no, he was
Well, it's
pulling
not been a
off
good few
there.
laps for him.
He was pulling off there for blue flags. I think he was trying to unlap himself into turn 1 on Hassett and Dirk. However, they were battling. He ended up getting involved without being able to make it through clearly. And with that being said, he's obviously gone into that runoff area, dropped significantly. Now they're continuing to do battle, but look at Hassett. He's pulled out nearly a second. And I think I saw someone say that Dirk had some kind of damage, although visibly he had none.
I think JA got damage from hitting Dirk. I don't think Dirk actually got any damage from the incident.
He had any either.
Well, JA is on 1 lap old soft. I don't know if he's been into the pits twice in the last few laps. He hasn't, so he hasn't pitted again since he came in after those hards and that huge spin he had on the final corner. Also, we're noting Larsen's dropped off completely from Tuptus. These softs now dying off. And that means Sindaku sort of has a 1 or 2 lap window here to try and get past at least Freeware before his die off as well. We're in the last few laps now. Halfway through lap 49, and it's Tuptus. Now, he needs to be careful he doesn't pick up another penalty. He's got 3 seconds. If he picked up another one, it would be down into 3rd place for him. He's actually close. He's actually got 2 warnings, I think, so he could pick up one. He hasn't picked one up for quite some time, but
As the tires start to degrade, Titanius, he comes into the pit lane. He picks up 5 seconds.
Freeware's on 2 warnings as well, so they both need to be careful. As for Larsen, clean as a whistle. Only 1 for him. Sindaku, he picked up 1 on lap 2. He's got another as well. So penalties for all of these drivers. Very possible. And, well, Sifix has had another problem. He needs to not hurt these drivers coming through. Getting that car turned around in the pit exit there. And he should just hold off here. Try and avoid causing any problems through here. He's really struggling in that McLaren. Get things turned through the second turn, but there goes the battle for P2, and it is quite the battle on the penultimate lap here. Sindaku very, very late on the brakes there. Sort of off the racing line. But nothing comes of it. I don't think any positive would have come of it. It might have, if he hadn't got that car turned in, he might have rear-ended Freeware, but 1.5 laps to go. And the podium as it stands is Tuptus, Larsen, Sindaku, if it was to finish like this. Have to see what happens on that last lap. With the exception of Larsen, if any one of the top 4 picks up a warning, it's another penalty for them. And for each of them, it would throw them off the podium. Well, Freeware's already going to be thrown off the podium. As who's that? Eruption, I think. Yeah, Eruption. He's nosedived into the castle section. JA has had to completely park. It's not JA, sorry. It's Vexit has had to park his car.
Not the first time tonight.
Karma had to get it through. Did well to get it stopped, though. So credit to Vexit for adhering to the LF flags and slowing the car down. Freeware, I think he's got the run on Larsen that he needs.
Well, we're on the final lap of the race now, and it's do or die for Freeware. We know that he's got the penalty, but of course, these drivers, they all want it done on track.
Well, for Sindaku, it's just a waiting game. He needs to stay behind Freeware, keep himself within the 3-second window. Tuptus just needs to keep his nose clean from 1 final warning. If he gets that, it's game over. Freeware, Larsen's really struggling now. He hasn't looked confident through the corners at some points in this track. And on these old softs, it could all come crumbling down for him. But he has kept himself pretty much warning free. Only 1 across the course of this race. And that's very, very impressive here. But he is much slower than the other drivers. and he needs to be careful, not of Freeware, but of Sindako. Sindako, we've seen it multiple times, Striff, where we've had 3 cars wide down that start-finish straight, and one person gets 2 positions. The start-finish line as well. It's not that far from turn 1. Here we go. Sindako, he's going to get the run. Or he needs to get the run here. Out of 16. Larson wide. Let's see what happens. Yellow flag behind them. I think that's the McLaren again, but we don't need to worry about that. It's all to the line here. Larson's got a great run of speed, but Sindako pushing with everything he has. He should get Freeware on track here with the DRS. Larson won't have it. Let's see. Can he get the speed? Larson legs back. This could be it for the Mercedes. It's to the line for Sindako, and he gets it. He gets P2 with just a fraction of a front wing. Larson, he's had a late minute disconnect, I think. It's so unfortunate, but Sindako on the line picks up P2. Toptus is your winner, but it's Sindako in P2 who steals the show on the line. Larson, P3 after 51 laps. It comes down to the final dash to the line. Freeware knocked off the podium as a result of that 3-second time penalty. Vexit comes home with P5. Swifty, well, he's coming down the start finish straight now, and he's going to do something pretty monumental to lose this, but it is going to be P6 for the Williams. That is unbelievable to see that. Hassith, well, he's already weaving in celebration. He needs to be careful he doesn't let Dirk Chocolate catch up here, but it is the Renault to the line. With an unfortunate incident there for him. Dirk Chocolate weaving in celebration in 8th. Rutanius, it's been an up and down race for him. He's had an issue in the last few laps by the looks of it. He's on some mediums, so maybe a wing change at some point over the last couple of laps, but it is still points for the Dutchman in 9th place. He's also getting the weave on. He knows the cameras are on him, and he's celebrating. Needs to be careful using the ERS there as he comes down to the line. But it is P9 for Rutanius, and he is the last person to finish on lap 51. Everyone else, I do believe, was lapped. But what an end to that race. A crazy dash to the line. Asif picks up driver of the day. Some great racing from him. But
Beautiful.
my goodness, what a finish, Striff.
Beautiful stuff there. What a race that was, and I am just so thrilled that we got to see, well, over 10 cars come through across the line since how we had our last race, of course. But no, in all seriousness, this was a thrilling race to commentate. I enjoyed it very, very much. And of course, congratulations to Tuptus and all of the racers who came across the line, not just the podium finishers, but everybody that finished. Tuptus, he started 2nd, he finishes 1st. Sindako, he finishes 2nd from 8th, and it was Larson from 11th to 3rd here. Freeware, the penalty there costing him at the end. 4th position from 3rd for him. Vexit 9th to 5th. We had Swifty, he started on pole, he drops back to 6th. Hassith from 17th position, he went all the way to 7th. Dirk Chocolate 14th to 8th with Rutanius. Well, he started in 10th, and he makes up 1 position in 9th. Arma Lesson from 5th position, he drops back to 10th. And that's it for the top 10 points finishers here. We also had JA Games, Eruption, Siffy, Acraid, Ace, Alex Budd, Wavy, Vincent Nyquist, Melik, and Jones for this round 6 of our Misfits Endurance Series, where we follow every Formula 1 race weekend. And this week, of course, is Baku in the real world, and that'll be taking place tomorrow. We'll have our YouTube channel, exclamation YouTube, where we'll have 2 races tomorrow around the United States, 1 Formula 2 race, well, a couple Formula 2 races. We have our Formula 2 action as well as our Asian Pacific action. But with that being said, we're just going to get into some interviews after that one. Thank you to Freeware. Thank you very much for the raid. Greatly appreciate that, Freeware.
Yeah, Freeware. He just narrowly missed out on that podium. That 3 seconds just knocking him down into 4th place. But in the end of things, he won't be too disappointed with that race. He came back from and a problem we saw a few people have wide at turn 3, having to take that run off. But he came back for 4th place on track. I think it was 4th on track as well, actually, given that run to the line between Sindako and Larson. A great run. Will, I think Larson's going to be a bit disappointed if we get to speak to him in a moment. given that we saw a bit of lag costing him there, bit of desync. Sindako as well. Well, both of them, 11th to 3rd for Larsen, 8th to 2nd for Sindako. Some great positions gained. Tuptus a little bit less action-packed in the race, but I'm sure he'll be equally as thrilled to be up on the podium, especially given that it is the top spot for the Racing Point.
Well, we do have Larsen. We'll get him real quick for interview. And joining us now for commentary and a quick chat after a very, very long race. I imagine you're quite tired after this one. But Larsen, welcome. Congratulations on the 3rd place finish here in Azerbaijan. How you feeling?
Tired and disappointed with the lag spike I got on the line.
Very unfortunate that you got the lag spike. How was the race overall, being that close to freeware?
It was good. I just kept behind freeware, saved some euros, and yeah, basically my whole race.
Unicorn, do you have any questions for Larsen?
Well, Larsen, it was just action-packed. Obviously, it started outside the top 10, but the opening section, when we only saw, one full safety car coming into this race. Do you expect more from a safety car? Obviously, the strategy outside the top 10, you're a little bit more flexible, but did you go into this in mind that we were going to see a few more full course yellows?
Yeah, I was thinking about like maybe 3 or 4 safety cars plus some virtuals, but only one, which was kind of good for my race, as I was in like top 4 the whole time and didn't want to bunch up the field.
Well, it certainly worked out for you, Larsen. Congratulations again. And, well, I hope to see you next time when we go to, I believe, Canada. I think it is, or France, one of the two. But, again, congratulations to the podium from 11th on the grid. Great drive.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to Larsen. Next, joining us here, it will be Sindako. Hello, sir. How are you feeling after such a campaign around the streets of Baku? Congratulations.
Very, very tired. Oh my god.
Only one safety car. Full safety car.
Yeah. And that was awful for me because I started with no fuel because I was gambling on having many, many safety cars. So I had to do basically the entire race fuel saving.
Oh, that must have been very, very dynamic. And we had a couple of VSCs maybe helping you a bit. How was the race just overall fighting?
Well, I screwed up on lap 4, I think, because I hit the wall, damaged my front wing, but the safety car came out as soon as I damaged my wing, so lost a few places, but I gained them quickly back because people around me just crashed. And yeah, tough battle at the end, a very close finish, and hope I was in the right place with the right ERS deployment.
Unicorn, any questions for Sindako?
Sindako, well, it all came down to the last lap. Obviously for us, we could see Larsen lagging. What was that like for you? How, did you think you could get him without the lag spike? What was going through your head from, turn 16 down to the line on that last lap?
Well, basically, at the start of the last lap, I decided to gamble and stay, don't try to attack freeway inter 1 and save my RS, because I basically was running the lowest possible downforce, because at the pit stop I changed my front wing to 1, so I had a bit more speed, so I was gambling on that, of being the 3rd driver, having double slipstream and going for it.
Bro.
Probably
Guys, make sure you go and
would
check
have
out.
been less than a 10 behind, in front of me, without that lag spike probably, I think. Would have been very close.
Absolutely, and it was still close with it, but Sindako, congratulations. You come away in P2, and, well, just a massive drive from you, so congratulations, and I'm sure we'll see you again in the commentary booth at some point, for whether it be an endurance race or a normal, tiered race, but congratulations once more, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sindako. That is going to wrap up our interview with Sindako. We've got one more interview, and it is with, of course, it is now time to talk to the race winner, Tuptus. Congratulations, you've won the Azerbaijan Grand Prix for round 6 of the Misfits Endurance Series. I'm going to hand it off to Unicorn. Amazing race. Just great stuff, and congratulations, Unicorn.
Well, Tuptus, it's first place after 51 laps of Baku. Both of the other drivers that we spoke to are very tired after that one. How are you feeling after taking away the win?
Yeah, I'm tired as well. I'm done for today. I just want to go to the bed.
Well, it's very understandable after that one. A great drive from you, a different strategy to most other people. We saw you end up, rather than on the softs, on the mediums. I think you pitted with wing damage. Correct me if I'm wrong for those mediums, but was there any other point where you thought, these guys are going to catch me, I'm going to need to get back onto softs, or, what was your plan with that, last pit stop?
I don't know. I cannot answer the question.
That's all right. You've had a tough race. We did see you pick up a 3-second time penalty. Was that, at that point in the race, it was fairly, center in the race. Was that, a worry for you? You concerned that was going to cost you in the final run? We saw it cost Freeware a podium. Were you ever worried that was going to take away from a potential win?
Yeah, sure.
Well, Tuptus, there's a lot of people cheering you on in the chat box. So you've got a great support, a great win for you from Peter on the grid. Stunning throughout the entire race. Sounds like you need some well-deserved rest, so go and enjoy yourself. Congratulations on the win, and I'm sure we'll see you here in the commentary booth sooner rather than later.
Thank you.
Okay, that wraps up interviews, ladies and gentlemen, after our 6th round of the Endurance Series for, well, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. What a race, Unicorn. That is going to wrap up all the coverage, and of course we are going to be heading off with a raid in just a few moments. But before we do, just a couple of quick messages. Of course, massive shout out to our great partners, Next Level Racing. You can check them out at nextlevelracing.com for some amazing racing rigs, motion sims, wheel stands, everything you need to take your racing to the next level. We have a great tournament or an event coming up. It's the Misfits Grand Championship. You can get involved by signing up via our website, misfitsrl.com, or typing !event in the chat. It's an 80 driver tournament where we are looking for some of the fastest drivers around to come and compete for some cash prizes. And we're also going to be having ourselves an awesome giveaway that's going to have everyone available. Everyone will be able to jump into the giveaway from the community, and some of the drivers will, all of the drivers that participate will get some added entries as well. So thank you very much to anyone who has already signed up for that, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Last but not least, well, Unicorn, any last words before we head on out?
Well, tomorrow we've got a lot of action, not only as F1 fans, but here at the Misfits as well, obviously. APAC division over on the YouTube, !YouTube to find your way over there. It's an hour earlier than usual, so for me, it's 11:30 in the UK, which is 12:30 across the rest of Europe, and our respective Asian times are in the Discord as well, along with that, as well as F2, where it'll be me and Alex Biddo in the evening. But obviously that APEC race just moved forward an hour to make way for the real Baku race, which, if it's anything as good as that drift, will be thoroughly entertaining to watch. So hopefully everyone enjoys that as much as we've enjoyed this race. But thank you all so very much for watching, and until the next time, have a good night, and we'll see you in the next one.